Popular radio show host and commentator Charlemagne the God had a tough message for President Biden during his appearance on the Comedy Central show this week.
People have been questioning why Biden hasn't stepped aside, and last night Biden gave an answer that just raised more questions.
Now to President Biden's candid new remark on why he's running for re-election.
During a closed-door fundraiser Tuesday, Biden told supporters, quote, "If Trump wasn't running, I'm not sure I'd be running, but we cannot let him win."
And just a short time ago, John, he renewed his claims that he's going to beat Trump. Watch.
Do you think there is any Democrat who could defeat Donald Trump other than you?
Probably 50 of them.
You do believe that there are?
I'm not the only one to defeat him, but I will defeat him.
Oh, my God. This is Biden's ego talking, okay? If you think there are other people who can beat him, step aside, all right? I know you think you've got this in the bag. I know he thinks he's got this in the bag, but the polls say otherwise. I want Biden stepping in to beat Trump the way I want him stepping in to defend me at a bar fight. I appreciate you caring, but I don't like our chances. The point is, we don't need Biden to beat Donald Trump, just like we didn't need RBG to stay on the court, okay? Maybe if RBG had retired during the Obama years, we'd still have Roe v. Wade. Maybe. But people said, no, she needs to be here to protect Roe. And now, look, both of them are gone. It's true, they're both gone. See, the facts are, Biden's not getting any younger. He's not going to get any more popular, and he's not getting a new running mate. So please, Mr. President, give America the ultimate Christmas gift and step aside.
Over on CNN, analysts broke down the most recent round of polling for President Biden, and it's not looking so good.
If you take a look at Biden's approval here, Dana, in our brand new CNN poll conducted by SSRS, he's at 37% approval, 63% disapproval as he's about to turn the corner into his reelection year. And look at this number over time. You noted it's a numeric low, but he's been hanging out down here for some time. Look here. He starts going down after the Afghanistan withdrawal. That really took a hit in his numbers in 2021. There was this uptick here in his approval around the time of the 2022 midterms last year where Democrats performed better. But basically this entire year has been a downward slide now to this new numeric low of 37%.
And how does this kind of compare to others who have served in the White House?
Take a look at his modern era predecessors. This was their approval rating at this point in their presidency, heading into their reelection year. And just note here, he's at the bottom of this list at 37%. Take a look here, Dana, at these three that are at the bottom here. What do they all have in common? They didn't win their reelection race.
It's not looking so good for Biden. I really want a compilation video of his commentary through the door as he's exiting. He has become famous. I don't know why there isn't one yet. He always does this, where he takes a last question that is shouted out at him as he is exiting and turns around and answers it and then shuts the door. It's a hilarious bit, and it's one that I think he can keep doing. I don't think it's going to save his presidency or approval ratings, but I am a big fan of that. And maybe if there are some compilation videos advertised, we'd see the approval numbers go up. I don't know.
I would also like to see a compilation of that because you're right. It's something he does almost like he never really formally takes questions. He generally just turns and runs out the door. But when he does take questions, it's like you said, he doesn't stay there. He's always kind of shuffling his way back toward the door. And then, like you said, he turns around and kind of yells back in through the door, much like it feels a little bit like like you said, a bit that would be on like I Love Lucy or something back in the day where it's like the guy's always on his way out the door and he just, leans his head back in and yells something about nuclear weapons or something because he's the president of the United States. It's not just a sitcom character. But I think, that the piece from the clip from Charlemagne the God is exactly right. If Joe Biden says that he probably wouldn't be running if Trump wasn't running, but says that 50 other Democrats, could beat Donald Trump, then why does it have to be him? Is it really is his ego at this age that much that he feels the need to beat Donald Trump twice? For Democrats, he's already been their hero because he did defeat Donald Trump. But now that he's done that, Democrats don't really like anything else that he's done since he was elected, which I think is kind of the problem for him, where he ran as this unifier, this potentially more moderate leader, and this idea of, a return to normalcy and the world will respect us and we'll build back better. And then none of that happened. We've got war breaking out again in the Middle East, in Europe. Just chaos kind of everywhere, and he hasn't been all that moderate either, with his multiple policies that were struck down by the Supreme Court, from the vaccine mandate to his coal-fired power plan to EPA rules, all of this stuff. Like, he's not brought any sort of normalcy or stability back. And so Democrats now are, looking at him and thinking, really, is this the best we can do? And I think it's interesting to hear it coming from Charlemagne the God, because he's somebody who is treated really as sort of a kingmaker among Democrat politicians. He's the one that was doing an interview with Hillary Clinton when she had her line about how she always keeps hot sauce in her purse, which is just still one of the greater moments in political discourse, of her thinking that she could say that. And then when asked if she was pandering with that comment, her response was, "Is it working?" Which I think is just peak Clinton sort of smarminess. And then you had, I believe it was Biden's conversation with him when he made when Joe Biden made the comment, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And now you have Charlemagne the God going on Comedy Central and saying, if you vote for Joe Biden, you're kind of an idiot, basically, because this cannot possibly be the best that we have. The question becomes, can Democrats even get rid of him if they wanted to? The DNC is not holding debates. The DNC is not doing a real primary, even though Joe Biden isn't on the ballot in some states. I think Democrats are kind of stuck with him unless he voluntarily says, I'm going to go. But clearly he's not, even though he thinks 50 other people could also beat Donald Trump.
It's a good point. The rigged primaries, common problem with the DNC and the Democratic Party as a whole. The Supreme Court doesn't care about it. Most federal courts don't care about this issue. Florida, most recently, has decided that same guy that's in office will just stay in office, which sounds like the kind of dictatorships that earn outrage when this takes place overseas. We literally coup countries with this kind of rhetoric as the premise. Oh, democracy is in peril. But in our case, it's just Florida, so not that many people care. But they decided there's no need for a primary, no need to count votes, cast ballots. There are other candidates running with the party. He's way too old to be in office, many people in the party believe. His approval ratings are awful, but he's still their guy, so much so that they don't even want to hold a vote in Florida. They're just going to put him as their nominee. It's ridiculous. Biden, I think, was telling the truth when he said that there are about 50 Democrats who could beat Donald Trump. It's just that they're so progressive or populist that the DNC could never stomach having them as the nominee. They need someone like Joe Biden, who's willing to hold the party line, the mainstream centrist Democratic Party line, keep Jerome Powell as the chairman of the Fed, despite him being a Trump appointee, to maintain the kind of moderate approach to the economy at a time when most people are struggling. They're living month to month, paycheck to paycheck. Inflation is crushing Americans. We're seeing a rise in union support because people are so desperate that the economy is getting so bad that they're actually willing to risk their jobs and stand up to management. This is something we haven't seen in some years in the United States. We've seen unemployment pretty much stagnant. We've seen wages stagnant through Joe Biden's presidency. It's very obvious that he's their guy because he's not going to touch how the wealthy elites who rule the party manage the purse strings. Yeah.
I think it's also sort of, I think should worry Democrats that Joe Biden is so certain that he is the one to defeat Donald Trump and 50 others could, because that's kind of the certainty in 2016 that left people sobbing in the Javits Center in New York when Hillary Clinton lost. And I don't know that Democrats learned their lesson from that. And I think Democrats should probably reconsider whether they did or not. Well, that does it for us this week on Rising. Jess, it was great hosting with you today.
You as well, Spencer. Looking forward to the Burbank Brown race.
Yes, it's going to be great. Why don't you come back next Monday for more Rising with Robbie and Bree. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we are now available everywhere you listen to podcasts. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.